There's a consciousness shift happening on the planet right now, and most people are not even aware of it. This is something you will not see the media covering. You're not going to see it on the news. This is something you will not learn in school. However, this is something that the mystics and ancient civilizations and different sources have been talking about, sometimes for hundreds, if not thousands of years, about this time that we're on the planet right now. Now, in this video, what I want to do is show you the signs that you are in and on the timeline of what is called this new earth energy. I know it sounds pretty esoteric. Now, at the same time, I want to show you how you can embody the energy that will help not just you, but also the people around you begin to shift into this new level of consciousness, this new way of being, so that there's not, in a way, this energetic dissonance and people left behind energetically. Now, when I say left behind, I'm not talking about necessarily some physical location that people are going to be left behind. I mean, literally, a consciousness shift is necessary on the planet for us as a species to survive. Now, someone like Eckhart Tolle, for example, who wrote the book, The Power of Now and A New Earth. He has a quote from A New Earth that says, "A new species is arriving on the planet. It is arising now, and you are it." When you look to that of what people talk about, even in the Bible, they talk about Christ consciousness. It is said that Christ consciousness is evolving right now. It is a level of consciousness, whereas many people believed it was like literally physically Jesus coming back down, like a rapture event where people physically leave Earth and go back with Jesus. It is believed that that was more of a metaphor for a level of consciousness that is arising on the planet right now, which some people call Christ consciousness. Another quote by Eckhart Tolle is, "Anybody who is one with what he or she does is building the new earth." A huge part of this process of building the new earth has to do with that of embodying the frequency that you came here to embody, which is their purpose, the energy you came here to live. Because what has been built with this old earth dynamics, which will be continuing to fall apart, it's what we're watching right now on the planet. You look out and you see all the chaos happening, and it may look like it is crazier on the planet now than it's ever been. But actually what's really happening is it's just that this stuff is coming to the surface and we are more aware of it than it's ever been as well. And we are transitioning into this new level of consciousness, and the old patterns have to fall down so that we can have something to build upon it. Now, the sources that I'm going to be referring to are three main sources in this video. The first one is the Law of One. The Law of One is also known as the raw materials. It's considered some of the most profound channelings of our time. It is a kind of esoteric concept, but it was the husband was a physicist who was getting the information to his wife, who was in a way channeling higher dimensional energy. I know it sounds pretty esoteric and pretty out there. However, many of the things that were talked about was so detailed with this science. This is back in the 70s and the 80s, that a lot of it that there was talking about in physics and things like that have actually come to be proven to be true. It was talking about things that we would learn in our science, much of which we have learned and much of which has been confirmed. We're going to be talking about that. Why now is also the time where it's about us understanding this correlation with our body in balancing out what are called the bottom three chakras, because in order to move into fourth density, which is what the Law of One talks about, which is this connection to the new earth energy, we must balance out the bottom three chakras to then move into the fourth. The bottom three chakras are the root chakra, the sacral chakra, the solar plexus. And if these three energies are imbalanced within us and within the planet, then we can't actually move into that fourth density state of consciousness. So I'm going to be talking about that in this video, plus giving you and showing you a meditation you can do that will completely transform this energy within yourself and allow you to shift into that energy easier than ever. We're going to be talking about that of Eckhart Tolle, which is some of the quotes I already gave. More of an energy of presence, much less esoteric than the other two sources I'm talking about. So I think it's going to give more of a grounded perspective of what New Earth is energetically, but also practically. I know a lot of this sounds very out there and can sound very kind of like mystical and flowy. At the same time, this is something that I believe we're becoming to understand more and more as time goes on. Now, the third one is Dolores Cannon. So Dolores Cannon was a hypnotherapist who founded this technique called QHHT, Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique, where what happens is people get into a certain level of brainwave state and certain level of hypnosis to where they, in a way, many people go to sleep, and then there's a tape recorder that's recording the things that they're saying, and there's a person that's QHHT practitioner that's asking them questions. So they might ask questions like, what is your purpose? Why did you attract this into your life? What was there to learn about this lesson between you and your family? Why did you choose your parents? And through thousands of people from all over the world that have been in this process of hypnosis, there's very interesting information that comes through and very consistent information that comes through. For example, through thousands of people from all over the world who did not know each other, who were under this level of hypnosis, many people have said that they came here to be a part of this shift. They came here to be a part of this transition time on Earth. Because part of the rules, it's said, of this planet is that we forget who we are when we're born here to then remember who we are. It's a part of having the lessons and the experiences that we have on Earth is us forgetting to then remember. Where it is said that in other reality systems, you could say on other planets, that there is a retainment of that memory. When you're born from your parents, you may remember your spiritual connection to them. But what it is said is back in the early to mid 1900s, there was in a way a call that was put out energetically as we were exploring nuclear bombs, where literally we were on a timeline where planet Earth was going to destroy itself. And what happened is, in Dolores Cannon books, it talks a lot about this, but it basically, there's a whole book called The Three Volunteers about this. But basically, this call was put out because the timeline we were on was going to destroy itself, and there were many beings in the universe that felt this connection to Earth and heard the call. That's what it says, heard the call. And many of us heard the call and then decided we were going to come back, even though we knew it was going to be hard. Even though we knew we were going to completely forget who we are when we were born here to then remember who we are. So what happened is many of us came here to be a part of that shift in consciousness, knowing that we were going to forget who we are to then remember who we are, so that we can then wake up and, in a way, divert the timeline that Earth was on. Because one of the rules of this reality system are, we are able and have the free will as a collective consciousness to determine our own destiny. So in a way, we're kind of allowed to destroy ourselves. However, we are not allowed to affect other reality systems because everything is connected. And what happens is when we started experimenting with nuclear bombs, that ripples out of not just our reality system, but into other reality systems. And apparently, what it said through these books and through people all over the world that were in this deep level of hypnosis is that that's not allowed. So we have free will, but within a certain range. So we have come here to go through this shift. Now, here's a quote from one of Dolores Cannon's books. It says, "As the New Earth approaches, our way of thinking is being challenged more and more. The veil is thinning and lifting as our consciousness expands. There is a requirement for entering the new dimension with the raising of our vibrations and frequencies. The old paradigms and archaic belief systems must fall to the wayside to make room for the new." Similar to what Eckhart Tolle was talking about this new consciousness that's emerging on the planet out of need, out of desire. We must go through this process. Now, in that of the law of one materials, one quick way of understanding this, of the old versus the new. If we understand what 3D Earth is about versus the new Earth, okay, this is an energy, This is a level of consciousness as well. If we go over to the old earth energy, it was much more about duality of good, bad, light, dark. There was a lot of control, a lot of manipulation of power, a lot of people, like a manipulation of systems so that people didn't believe in themselves. People didn't have, kind of just kept on that hamster wheel. I know, like going to a 9-to-5 job, 40 hours a week, and then on your off days, all you're doing is thinking about the things you need to get done so that you can go back to the 9-to-5 job. The distraction of how everything, literally everything on the news is negative and is shaping the world view for what some people may want the collective to believe. We look at some of the things that's happening, whether it's with Disney or whether it's with different perspectives. There's this narrative that's happening. Seems to me like the narrative that's happening is taken away from certain values and kind of taking the love out of it in a way, taking the love, the connection, strong moral values out of it. There could be an agenda there to shape the minds and to shape the emotions and to keep people divided. When men and women believe they're the enemy, there's much less unity. And in many ways, there is a narrative, there is a certain perspective or a certain level of control that may be part of that third dimensional level of consciousness on the planet. So fear, anger, 99% of everything on the news is fear or anger, or it gets people to feel that. And when people are in fear and anger and lower vibrational emotions, they're much easier to control, and they're much more likely to look to security. They're much more likely to look to authority for safety. So in an interesting way, that old paradigm, people are beginning to see through it. Even my grandma, for example. My grandma is this, she has been she's a very liberal, political person that is always focused on politics for a long time, who would believe the news, believe CNN, believe whatever news station. And even just the last couple of years, she's like, yeah, I don't really believe anything I see on the news. And I'm like, what? All I remember was you talking about it for so long growing up. Even my dad, who's very political, who's even I talked to him the other day. You want to know what he said? You know what he used to always tell me? He's like, you should vote. You got to vote. Anytime there's an election, you got to vote. Your vote matters. And I just don't really buy into, or it's not something I've really ever been focused on. But then my dad, I talked to him recently, and he goes, yeah, I don't even know if I'm going to vote. I'm like, what? All you would tell me growing up was, you got to vote. Your vote matters. You got to vote. I'm like, I live in Texas. It does not matter if I vote. It's going one way and one way only. So it don't matter. What is just funny, because the perspectives are a-changing and people are awaking up. Now, with what I'm talking about, when it comes to this new earth energy is much more about connection, about unity, about waking up, about awareness, about people living their purpose. People look at AI and everyone's all afraid. I remember watching this one interview, and people are all afraid of AI because it's going to take everyone's jobs. Most people are working 9-to-5 jobs they freaking hate, and the jobs that a lot of AI is going to take care of and overtake are jobs that are very monotonous. Is that the right word? Very boring. It's not, you know what AI is not going to be able to really do? Is human creativity. And I think that the new earth, part of it is some of that's actually going to help solve the problem of these jobs that a lot of people may not need to do, where they can then focus on what they're creative about, what gets them thinking, what are they passionate about learning. Also talk about that for a minute. There are people that focus on certain theories about how even when I talk about the control dynamics of the government, I'm not trying to get you to buy into some fear-based reality where it's all this stuff's happening, because that can also be a rabbit hole. I remember certain things happening 2020, 2021, really focusing on certain things, and it just kind of got dark to where I was this isn't my purpose to focus on this. I'm aware that there's other things going on, but I'll put it in my passion. In a certain way, I do see a pattern sometimes of people kind of getting lost down certain rabbit holes, where they're shifting to more and more realities where there is more and more, if you believe everyone's after you and the world's going to hell in a handbasket, what kind of world do you think you're going to be in? What kind of situations you're going to attract? So one thing it says in the law of one is that 51% service to others is part of what's necessary. Now, 51%. So are you 49%, 38%, or 51%? Or more? I'm just joking about this 51%. This is actually what it says, but I don't think this is as important as they make it sound. 51%, like, oh my God, I'm at 47%. I'm not going to ascend into a higher level of consciousness. Just in general, is there awareness? See, here's the difference. 3D level of consciousness is separate. Me, you. I don't care what I do to you because I need to benefit me. That perspective is very limiting because it doesn't come with the awareness that we're connected. So in this reality over here, in that new earth energy, what I put out is what I get back because you are another aspect of a consciousness that I'm connected to. So 51% service to others comes with this awareness that you can still take care of yourself, because I see sometimes empaths that are so about other. The challenge is they don't have that strong sense of self, and I think that in this new earth energy, you can still be grounded in yourself, but also understanding that what you put out is what you get back. So the new earth energy is about that awareness. Now, one of the things that it'll be important to do is to understand that this is a time of observing the chaos on the planet. Now, not observing it like you need to dissect it, understand every little level of it, but as things are happening, things will continue to get a little bit crazy. And the important thing to do is to observe it, not react to it. In the observation of it without the emotional charge, like think of it, this is also from a more esoteric book, has to do with quantum physics, but it's this idea of pendulums or thought forms. We're all connected to this collective consciousness. When people fight what is called this thought structure, even think of Carl Jung, Jungian psychology, for example, which talks about archetypes. If you fight a certain thought structure, you feed it either emotionally with your agreement or with your disagreement, you're feeding that energy. When you observe it from a neutral space, you're not being engaged with it in a way that's getting tied and locked up with it. So whether you fight or you agree with this thought form pendulum, you're feeding it. When there's crazy stuff happening in the world, what that energy needs, I believe, is a lot of people that can focus on more so observing it rather than reacting from it, knowing that in a way the chaos is just breaking itself down. This is a part of the process. Bashar has also talked about this, and basically what he said is for a period of time, think of it like 2015 and beyond, every year there's these train tracks that start at the train station going parallel, but then what happens is they just slightly start to veer in different directions. Now, what he says is it's very important to get on the train track you choose to be on, because as time goes on, they're going to get further and further apart to where it's harder and harder to jump back and forth. So what that means is choosing your vibration that you choose to live in, choosing to live by your passion. And also, there's going to be this effect of looking through like a glass wall where you're going to be able to see what's happening in other parts of the world. And for a period of time, you're even going to be able to see things that you don't prefer to see. But as time goes on, your vibration will get, as you're focused on your purpose, as you're focused on elevating your consciousness, as you balance out these bottom 3 chakras and move more into your heart, you're going to be experiencing more and more of only what's in vibrational resonance with you. That's what Bashar talks about. And there are other sources as well that I'm not mentioning, but like this is something since 2012 that I have known about. And since then, it's like this thing that's kind of been in the background, but as time goes on, it's becoming more and more relevant in a very powerful way. Now, the other side of this, and it's very important, is to understand that the world, the new earth we're shifting to, it is about doing your own shadow work and understanding that the change you want to see in the new earth is going to come as a reflection of your vibration, of your energy. This is why the process of owning the energy field, of becoming aware of your own shadow, because right now the collective shadow is coming out. Now, what does it mean to own your own shadow? We all have a part of ourselves that's a shadow that's kind of like buried within us. Carl Jung talked a lot about this. And unless we become aware of it, we project it onto the world, and it stops us from really becoming into our full power. So one of the things to become aware of is what your shadow is and begin to integrate it. Sometimes, what's an example of a shadow? If you think of like a people pleaser, for example, someone that's pleasing other people, their shadow, a lot of times, is that they have a part of themselves that they don't let feel anger or tension. So they live in this like looking for validation, approval, energy, rather than getting back to themselves and realize what's authentic for me. Setting boundaries or doing things that may cause other people to feel tension, but it's okay. Or someone that's very positive all the time. Their shadow is probably a negative side of themselves that they don't let them feel. It's kind of like what is that? Hello Kitty from Lego Movie. It's like, how are you? I'm great. And there's like this energy that just wants to explode on the inside. So in general, owning the shadow, one powerful process you can use for this, by the way, is a process called Hooponopono. I have a friend that is at this retreat right now, where basically what they do is they're going into these pods to measure brainwave activity of alpha, beta, theta waves. And one thing that they said they do is they're going in and they're practicing Hooponopono, which is, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And they're doing forgiveness practices against their past and forgiveness practices against people in their life. And it is having a noticeable effect on their brainwave activity. It's having a noticeable effect on their energy. And I thought it was, she told me that because I teach a lot of Hooponopono, and there's like a science behind it. I have a video on that as well if you want to check it out on Hooponopono. And then there's a meditation you could do with that as well to really begin to elevate your frequency. So own your shadow. The reason Hooponopono is so powerful because you're literally owning your shadow. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And you say, well, this person did this to me. The responsibility comes in understanding your response to it is your responsibility. You choose how you respond. And if you can experience it in someone else doing it to you, it means it's in your own field. It's like if I was like, no one better betray me. No one better betray me. No one better betray me. And then someone betrays me. I'm like, they betrayed me. Well, I have this rule and this like energetic, subconscious or conscious charge inside of myself that says people better not betray me. And I carry that with me. And that's why it then happens. So a big part of this is owning that energy field. So Hooponopono is a very powerful way to do that. Now, one thing that it said in the Dolores Cannon material is that many people from all over the world said, we came here to be a part of that shift in consciousness. And just like that quote I just now read, one of the things that Dolores Cannon said was that we came here to let go of that old earth energy where the old negativity is left behind, but it is time that we awaken that within ourselves, and the key is elevating our vibration. Let me show you one more quote that I think is cool from the 3 Waves of Volunteers. It says, the call was given throughout the universe for souls to come to earth to help when they come into a body. Like all of us, their memories are erased. I have asked, wouldn't it be easier if we could remember why we have come? They said it wouldn't be a test if you knew the answers. Interesting, right? It wouldn't be a test if you knew the answers. This is also, a lot of people will look to the outside like, why can't aliens and ETs just land and give us the information and give us free technology? Because that would be cheating. That'd be them giving us the answers. We came here to be self-empowered and to affect reality from the inside out. Not from the looking to be saved. It's like a savior complex. Another quote, free will is very important for everyone of the earth. They must see through and transcend the illusion that exists in present man's consciences and trust in the higher spiritual laws and processes, and to embody that within ourselves, that energy, the spiritual connection, not looking for it in some savior mentality. So noticing and raising and elevating your vibration is one of the most powerful things that you can do. And in that law of one material, it talks about, so think about it, root chakra, feeling safe in your body. Sacral chakra many times is related to sexuality, connection to family. Third chakra, solar plexus, connection to your purpose, willpower. Now, what happens is in our society, there's such an imbalance of these energies. Many people, you think of empaths, for example, they don't feel safe. They don't feel in their bottom 3 chakras at all. They go into their third eye so that they can intuitively connect to everyone else to know if it's safe, but they're not presently balanced and here. Now, look at what on the news, the emotion gets you to feel. If you're on the watching the news, do you feel safe? Probably not. Is there a distortion view of sexuality? Yes. Willpower. A lot of what we see on the news and the media and everything, everyone's supposed to work a 9-to-5 job they hate. Like, it's the imbalance of all these 3 chakras. Now, the key, as it talks about the law of 1, is to balance out these bottom 3 chakras, the belief systems that are that correlate with it, and move into your heart center. And the heart center is that new earth energy. It is not a physical location you go. It is an energy that you begin to embody. Now, one thing that you can do to help yourself balance out these bottom 3 chakras is to do a meditation that will help you to do so. Now, I've been asked many times since I've been talking about this new earth energy. Now, understand, if you're watching this video, then I believe you are part of this new earth energy, in the sense that you embodying your purpose, you carrying this with you, is a very powerful thing for the planet. Now, there is a meditation that will help you to balance out the bottom 3 chakras and move into your heart. It is a new earth meditation that is completely free on YouTube. Now, this will not only help you move into the new earth energy, but it will also help the collective consciousness move into the new earth energy. So I recommend you do this meditation for the next 21 days. Let's all commit to it together. I'm going to go ahead and link that meditation right here. Read the comments to see what's possible, and let's commit to it now.